Good morning. Good morning, media colleagues, and good morning those joining us online. We are pleased to welcome you to the Office of the Prime Minister's weekly press briefing. We've been doing these for a few months now, and we're so pleased to be able to initiate this dialogue between the government and you. And so without further ado, we have an exciting press briefing scheduled for you today. I'm going to invite Press Secretary Clint Watson to come and welcome you.
Thank you, Jillian. Good morning, colleagues. Good morning, all of you joining us for another week. You're looking happy, so somebody's taking good care of all of you. Maybe it's because it's Valentine's week and you all were treated well, and so that's a good thing to you. We wanted to focus on a couple of things in today's briefing. I know there's a lot happening all over the country this morning with media briefings and with press conferences, and so we're going to try and keep it very tight for you this morning. We're focusing on, obviously, the issue that's been in the media, which is food security. And we're going to be talking to the Minister of Agriculture and Fisheries and Local Government, Marine Resources, the Honorable Clay Sweeting, about that. And he'll talk to you about food security and what the Bahamas is looking to do, how we're going about doing it. He's here also with his Parliamentary Secretary, Mr. Leo Lightburn, here as well. But then we're also looking to talk some more about the vaccination process, how that's happening, what's going on with that. And then, of course, some announcements from Prime Minister to give to you, and then our features of the week, which we're always excited to highlight. So lots to get to. Let's get to it right now. I'm going to invite the Minister responsible for Agriculture, Marine Resources, and Local Government, the Honorable Clay Sweeting, to come and address you and to take any questions you may have in that regard. Minister Sweeting.
Thank you, Clint. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I am happy to be here to share exciting news from my ministry, beginning with the Food for Future Summit and Expo in Dubai. As you have been informed this week, the Bahamas will actively join the global conversation of food security at the inaugural Food for Future Summit and Expo on the 22nd and the 23rd of this month. The conference will be held during Agriculture Week at the World Expo 2020 in Dubai, and will bring together over 100 countries and 150 exhibitors who are all keen on improving global food security. Her Excellency Miriam Al-Mahedi, Minister of Climate Change and Environment from the UAE, has personally invited the Bahamas to attend. During the Global Leadership Symposium portion of the summit, I have been invited and I'm expected to bring remarks where I will outline some of the challenges of the Bahamas and what we face in becoming food secure. I will lead a delegation comprised of the Executive Chairman of the Bahamas Agriculture and Marine Science Institute, BAMSI, the Senator Tyrell Young, Executive Chairman of the Bahamas Agricultural Industrial Corporation, Leroy Major, the President of BAMSI, Senator Dr. Arecia Hepburn, representatives from the Bahamas Agricultural Health and Food Safety Authority, BAFSA, representatives from the Departments of Agriculture and Marine Resources, including my Parliamentary Secretary, as well as other ministry representatives. It is the mandate of the Ministry of Agriculture, Marine Resources, and Family Island Affairs to develop a national food security strategy. The challenges of COVID-19 have shown us that now, more than ever, we must develop one. We are seeing the sharp increases of food prices and the unpredictable delays of shipments. The Bahamas is also burdened by the astronomical price of food imports that hover around $1 billion, a bill that we cannot continue to pay. Additionally, our nation faces the peril of climate change. We must determine ways to strategically and sustainably grow our food. The inaugural Food for Future Summit and Expo provides the opportunity to converse with like-minded stakeholders from around the world and explore innovative ways of advancing the global transition to sustainable food systems. We see this as a tremendous opportunity to conceive partnerships with other countries and entities who have been where we are and are seeking to bolster their food systems. We are looking to develop innovative, unconventional ways of growing food for many generations of Bahamians to come, while safeguarding ourselves against the trauma of external pressures. During the week, we will also attend other meetings, such as the Agriculture Innovation Mission for Climate's AIM for Climate First Ministerial Meetings. This meeting will provide a platform for country partners to discuss collective investment priorities and cooperation modalities, as well as deliverables for COP27 in Egypt. You would recall that the Bahamas is part of AIM, which was launched by the UAE and US at COP26. Ladies and gentlemen, we cannot wait any longer. We know that procrastination is the thief of time, but it is also said that it is the assassin of opportunity. We must now think differently about how to feed ourselves. We must be bold in searching for ways to use new technologies and promote greater access to healthier food for our citizens. We are excited to make this journey to assist in securing food for the future of our country. Currently, we are already taking steps to the goal for food security. On Friday, February 18th, we will reopen the packing house at Hatchet Bay, Eleuthera, as a staple in the central Eleuthera community, which has been closed for 4 years. If we are serious about investing in agriculture, we must be serious about creating avenues for our farmers to sell their product at market values. The team at the ministry is creating an agribusiness center at Hatchet Bay that will serve as a template for Family Island farming communities. This packing house will be a point of contact where farmers can access seeds, plants, fertilizers, get assistance with farm planning, and by the end of the year, they will be able to process their excess food in our community kitchen. We want to end the practice of food waste or produce. These undersized, overdeveloped, or perhaps oddly shaped produce have a value also. We look forward to not just enhancing farming, but to reviving the cottage industry and get more locally produced items on the shelves fresher and faster. The opening of this facility is expected to reignite farmers and engage them fully towards sustainable farming in the country. Additionally, we have completed the renovations at the packing house in Cat Island, and most recently, we moved a step closer in our goals by tabling and passing the BAMC legislation in Parliament yesterday. We established a precedent of the Institute, and we look forward to the development of BAMC to serve our farming communities throughout our country. We continue to invest in digitizing our department so that all farmers around the Bahamas can have access to applications, no matter which family island they reside in. We are implementing help desks to assist our elderly farmers especially. My ministry is hiring extension officers as we lay the framework for the agribusiness department. We are working aggressively towards implementing sanitary and phytosanitary measures as we move toward in setting the framework for our food security. Just yesterday, I announced in the House of Assembly that we were lifting the ban on the import of Canadian beef. This ban was put in place 18 years ago in response to the 2003 mad cow disease, or BSE. However, as of the 27th of May 2021, Canada was officially recognized by the OIE World Assembly of Delegates at its 88th General Session as having a negligible risk for BSE in accordance with the OIE Terrestrial Animal Health Code. In response to this change, the Bahamas Agricultural Health and Food Safety Authority drafted conditions of import in line with OIE recommended conditions of import for countries with this risk status. So this risk status allows for the appropriate level of protection for the Bahamas veterinary public health and therefore would make the import ban unnecessary. For some time, the Bahamas as imported Canadian beef through U.S. distributors who have repackaged the product for resale. So we are now cutting out the middleman, which we hope will reduce the prices of beef in the Bahamas. We are working tirelessly to reduce our import bill. Collectively, we can provide solutions to our challenges. My ministry is heavily committed to making the Bahamas food secure, and we will continue to work hard to develop initiatives in achieving this vital goal. Thank you, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
You spoke about the $1 billion price tag for the food import bill in the country, which is high. You outlined some strategies, but any work to reach out to retailers, because as you're aware, the prices in the food store, grocery stores are a bit high, particularly bread basket items and even produce.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad that you mentioned that. Actually, the Prime Minister met with retailers and wholesalers yesterday, where they discussed the issue of the increase in food prices, and they had a good discussion, and the Prime Minister is committed to enacting policies where we can hope to reduce the price of food across our nation.
Can you mention maybe some of the policies that are being looked at to tackle this inflation?
Well, I mean, a lot of this is in discussion, you know, and this is a worldwide issue, so it's not just only in the Bahamas. We're hoping that we look at low-hanging fruit such as lifting the import ban on not just Canada, but this would in turn fall on any country that falls under OIE standards. So if it's another country that we've banned, we'll now be able to import their meat. We exclude the middleman, and in turn, our hopes is that we reduce the price or the cost of beef. So we're looking at other items as well that we may have banned to see how we can be strategic, because we understand that this is a long-term plan, but we also understand that people are affected now, and Bahamians, we want to ensure that they are able to have access to not just cheap food, but food that protects our bodies and our health. So we're also looking at that with the Ministry of Health as well.
Minister Sweeting, you mentioned the legislation from the House of Assembly yesterday that is expected to outline the new direction for BAMSI, but the opposition leader expressed concern that this administration is misunderstanding its use. Can you respond to that?
Well, you know, I think originally the leader of opposition mentioned that in his contribution, but I think after that, when Minister Mitchell spoke about the difference in policies, the leader of the opposition then said that he think that both of us was on the same regards to policies. I will say that their view on privatizing or parts of the agricultural sector would not be in line with our policy. We've seen countries across the world, including the United States and Canada, that provides government subvention to protect their countries and their farmers, to ensure that that sector is one that is untapped and not privatized, because even with large countries, privatizing the agricultural sector would be dangerous, especially now when we're speaking about food security and how important it is for us as a country to reach that level where we're not insecure.
I know that you recently were able to sit down with a representative from IDB. These future projects that BAMSI is undertaking, will they be funding or help to fund any of those?
Well, we spoke with preliminary meetings with IDB. BAMSI wasn't mentioned as such, but what I could say is this legislation for BAMSI will provide opportunities where they can have access to grants and outside funding, which ordinarily wouldn't been able to be produced. BAMSI, this is an exciting time for agriculture in our country. BAMSI will be the leader for change, and you know, we can't wait to see what we can make happen in the next few years.
And any projections for, I guess, what BAMSI will be able to do by the end of the year, its impact on us and food safety?
Well, you know, BASTA deals with food safety, but in regards to food security, BAMSI is streamlining this process. So BAMSI is really supposed to act as a facility for the institution of knowledge and also the transfer of knowledge to farmers livestock farmers across our country to help them with this information, to help facilitate some other knowledge. We are hoping that, as soon as possible, I spoke with the Minister of Works yesterday, we're hoping to make a trip to BAMC to see exactly what needs to happen to make this facility on par with international regulations and to really put a dent in food security. We have a lot of things going on. So BAMC will lead the charge, but we also hope that the Ministry of Agriculture could play an instrumental role as well.
As it relates to the trip to Dubai, I think you mentioned earlier this week it was a 19-person delegation. Is that still the case, and do we know how much this trip will cost?
Yeah, so this trip, I'm glad you asked that because, I think it's very important that we are outlining our transparent to the Bahamian people in regards to travel. The Ministry of Agriculture comprises of it's a very vast ministry. So we'll have persons from BAMC, BAIC, BAFSA, the Department of Agriculture, the Department of Marine Resources, which all will work in tandem because this summit is very busy and everyone will be able to attend whatever falls in line with their portfolio, and then we'll debrief every evening. The trip costs roughly $25,000 per department as of when we book the tickets. So it's not that costly, and the benefits that we will receive will be monumental to our country as we bring the knowledge home. Innovation is very important, and this will play a pivotal role in doing so. The delegation remains the same. I want to ensure that my ministry is very transparent with what we were doing so the Bahamian people can see the benefit of what we want to accomplish with our ministry.
Are there any discussions about maybe reducing any of the import duties on food items in the upcoming budget?
Well, I'm sure that we will look at that. I haven't had discussions with the Prime Minister in that regard. I do know that it's very important that we not only look at reducing imports, but also reducing the duty rates, but also looking at ways where we can grow and feed ourselves in this country. So we're definitely focusing on that as well. Any other questions? Thank you.
Minister, for addressing us this morning and giving us an update, and congratulations to you and your team on the hard work that you're doing, and we look forward to seeing even more as we develop and find ways to feed ourselves. Thank you again for speaking with us. I want to apologize for Dr. Danny Davis, who's the co-chair of the Vaccination Committee, who was supposed to have been here this morning, but can't be due to other reasons, and so we don't have that update on the Vaccination Committee. However, I do have some information to give to you in any event, and hopefully that will be able to at least facilitate. So I'll go right into my announcements this morning. And of course, we'll start with vaccinations. Bahamas received, as you would have been aware of, 30,000 doses of Pfizer vaccines. Bahamas received 32,400 doses, to be exact, yesterday from the United States. This brings a total number of donated vaccines to about 300,000 doses. We are pleased and grateful to the U.S. for its continued support in the fight against COVID-19. While vaccines are not mandatory, we continue to encourage Bahamians to get vaccinated as it significantly decreases the symptoms and chance of serious illness and hospitalization. We're around the 46% right now as far as when it comes to vaccinations, for those of you who may not know. And we want to get to about, I think this international standards have said 70%. So you see we have some ways to go. And what you find happening now is there is this belief among people that, I made it out. We're coming out of the pandemic, so if I didn't get vaccinated, I can pretty much be okay. And we want to encourage people not to think that way because we're not out of the pandemic. We don't know there'll be another wave. We're still dealing with Omicron. We're still dealing with other waves, and so it's important, other strains. And so it's important not to think that, I could get out of this, so I don't need it. To please, if you can get vaccinated, please go ahead and do so. It is important for us, not just for your own personal health, but also for the country, because what it enables us to do is to be able to effectively and efficiently open up fully sooner. Many people are asking, well, the numbers are low. We seem to be out of the fourth wave. Why aren't we opening up? And the realities of that simply is there's still too much at risk. And people are wondering, what do we mean at risk? Numbers may be low, but our healthcare sector is still very vulnerable. And that is one of the main reasons why there's not been an overwhelming thrust to just relax restrictions. Because if you followed if you followed what's been happening around the world in countries like Denmark and other countries who have had almost 90% vaccination and they're fully reopened and relaxed restrictions, what ended up happening? Numbers shot right back up. Now, for us, the challenge is we don't have the capacity in our healthcare sector to support something like that happening if we fully open up. And that is why we have to still exercise caution. Health practitioners have said to us, we cannot manage if we have to have another surge. We don't have the capacity in our healthcare facilities. So what government is doing now is trying to shore up the healthcare facilities. There is a need to improve on our healthcare. There is a need to expand on our healthcare. The government is focusing on doing that first. And then as we look and see what areas can be relaxed. But it cannot just happen in a mass thrust because of the vulnerability of our healthcare sector. And that is why we are encouraging people to become vaccinated, because the more people become vaccinated, the less stress and burden on the healthcare facilities. You talk to people at the hospitals, they will tell you the majority of people who are in there, people who are not vaccinated. So with such a large portion still not vaccinated, it is a great risk lifting all restrictions. And so we encourage people to do so that we can help get the Bahamas fully reopened, get the restrictions fully lifted, and we can return to normalcy as soon as possible. And that's where we are as far as with vaccinations and doses. I want to move on to also to another important announcement. Obviously this week, courtesy call on Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabian government placed a courtesy call led by their tourism minister. Earlier this week, with Prime Minister Davis. The delegation, like he said, is from Saudi Arabia. His Excellency and the members of his delegation were met upon their arrival by Deputy Prime Minister, Minister of Tourism, Investments and Aviation, Chester Cooper, and other officials. So Davis' administration is committed to building our international relationships and strengthening strategic partnerships. One of the things I think that we're looking toward greater dialogue with the Saudi Arabian government with, particularly as we face what we see happening globally and here at home, inflation. We recognize that higher prices in food, higher prices in fuel, higher prices in goods coming into the country are all linked to one key thing: fuel, the rising oil prices. And what Prime Minister Davis has been able to strategically do is to begin a discussion with the Saudi Arabian government of how we can work a network to access oil from them, to access fuel from them, so that it will cut down on the overhead costs coming into the country. It is a great strategy if we can work together with them in that regard, and would significantly impact what we see happening at the ports, at the pumps, at the wholesalers, because it all relies back on, of course, shipping costs, trucking costs, and all of that is going up with rising fuel prices. And so this is something that Prime Minister Davis initiated in conversation with them, something that they are open to discussions with, and we're looking to see how quickly and soon we can begin that bout of discussions to bring relief here to our domestic supply. Prime Minister Davis, and I think this is a good transition right now, also met with wholesalers yesterday. The oil dealers, wholesalers, some retailers, and the port. As prices for food and fuel rises around the world, to discuss how each can work together to help bring these prices down for consumers here at home. Prime Minister Davis, along with senior government officials from the Ministry of Finance, the Ministry of Economic Affairs, the Consumer Protection Commission, BAIC, and BAMSI, met with stakeholders in the shipping industry, stakeholders as well in the petroleum industry, wholesalers, retailers, to discuss the rising costs caused by the pandemic and, of course, supply chain challenges. At the meeting, the Prime Minister emphasized his government's commitment to finding ways to keep prices low for Bahamians during this historic global inflation. Critical policy interventions, a push to support local farmers and strengthen the agriculture industry through BAIC and BAMSI are some of the first steps to not only bring food costs down, but also to ensure that we're able to regulate what's happening in the sectors. The Prime Minister said that this is all a hands-on-deck exercise to protect Bahamian families during these difficult economic times. He said the Davis administration understands the importance of consulting with industry partners to ensure that the government responds adequately to the Bahamian people's challenges. And this is something that the government has been keeping a keen eye on. This meeting had been planned to ensure that we talk to the people, the important people who are responsible in these industries. We know we're all crying about high rising food costs on the shelves, gas pumps, the cost is going up. At the port, and we've been told it all links right back to the first line, which is the port. And the costs there for containers have significantly, they said it yesterday, have almost tripled at the ports. Trucking fees to get goods, particularly in the U.S., to the ports have literally tripled. And as a result, if trucking fees have tripled and if port fees have tripled, you could imagine how these wholesalers are now having to increase goods. So we had a good discussion with them yesterday, to discuss the way forward, how we can put some relief in place for the Bahamian people to mitigate these extreme rises in prices. We have commitments from everyone to talk and to discuss. Everyone around that table yesterday seemed keen on wanting to find a way to ensure that their customers, their consumers, Bahamian people, their dealers all receive some level of relief and able to manage that. So those discussions are ongoing. We're looking at strategies, perhaps bulk buying by all these wholesale companies. Those options are all on the table. So that if you buy larger in bulk, you're able to get the best deals that the major wholesalers and retailers around the world and in America are getting, like Walmart, because of the bulk they're buying. They're able to get demand. And the problem here is people are not able to get the goods in because in such demand worldwide, there are shortages. So we're working through strategies to ensure that Bahamians are able to feel some relief and also to manage what's happening with inflation, which is a global thing that's happening. So we're working extremely hard to be able to address it, and we'll keep you updated on those talks and how things are working in that regard to bring the Bahamian people relief in that. And then also Prime Minister continues his message on climate change at One Young World Forum, which he addressed this morning. Prime Minister Philip Davis gave special remarks to the One Young World Caucus, assuring the youth in attendance that special investments ought to be allocated for pressing issues such as the vulnerabilities of low-lying, small island developing states like the Bahamas. He said, quote, two particular features of this One World Caucus gives him great optimism and hope. The first is young people's commitment to internationalism. And even while there are worrying signs that some nations are being tempted into isolationism and nationalism, the organization's continuing commitment to international partnership and international action is a real cause for optimism. His second was that this generation's potential for serious, consequential activism. He said, even as young people take on the great issues of our time, they must remember that no activist cause worth fighting for was won overnight. The One Young World Caucus identifies, promotes, and connects the world's most impactful young leaders to create a better world with more responsible, more effective leadership. And that, of course, took place this morning. Prime Minister is now becoming a very prominent feature of One Young World because of his introductory remarks last year, pre-COP26, and the impact even at COP26. And again, we see he's being invited back to speak on this issue of climate change. Those are our announcements and discussions this morning. Any questions we'll take from you before going into our featured group? Questions?
There is still a concern from many employees in the private sector about some companies forcing vaccinations on them or giving them ultimatums that they may lose their job. Is the Davis administration planning to do anything to maybe crack down or speak with these companies and reasoning? Because a lot of persons are at risk of losing their jobs if they don't get vaccinated.
Thank you, Janelle. The Ministry of Labor has been in discussions. They have been in ongoing discussions with businesses. Whenever we find out that this was happening, the Ministry of Labor is contacted, and the Director of Labor and his team will meet with these companies to discuss what's happening. You do know that we don't have a mandatory vaccination policy in the Bahamas. So that means Bahamians are not it's not mandatory for you to become vaccinated. We also feel that at the end of the day, that should follow through and the respect should be given in the business community, and that's why we dialogue with them. The reality, though, outside of that is we understand where the world is going. We understand that, I mean, if you see United States, our biggest player, you can't get into the United States unless you're vaccinated. That's what's happening more and more. And even though we do see some loosening of restrictions, vaccination is something that people are trying to work toward getting because it allows their workplace to function more smoothly and to operate more effectively according to them. And that's why they're trying to encourage. But again, the Bahamas does not have a mandatory vaccination policy, which means that you could find yourself possibly facing legal battles if you mandate that or take somebody's job from them. So again, we encourage people to talk to the Ministry of Labor, companies, to find out the best way to go about this aspect, and employees, Bahamians who feel they are being violated, talk to the Ministry of Labor and they will intervene. But again, I stress, the Bahamas does not have a mandatory vaccination policy.
I guess my question also is on vaccinations. I know there were some discussions in the past on, whether the government was minded to partner with private healthcare facilities to allow them to administer doses as an effort to tackle vaccine hesitancy. Is that still something that's being discussed, looked at by the Davis administration?
Thanks, Sandra. Yes, it is. We are working with private sector. We want to see rollouts for vaccination. We want to be able to have vaccines administered as you can go to the pharmacies, local labs, and so forth, as you do for other things. We've started that process as well. And so you should see more fully implemented. Dr. Darvin and his team are very much engaged in that. Some persons were supposed to have supplies, but we're still checking to make sure all things are in place and that there's a policy that's in place to govern it. But that's actually very active and should be happening in a matter of weeks.
Any idea when pediatric vaccines will be made available for children?
That's the piece of the puzzle that we need filled. We still cannot source vaccines for children. It is in such high demand. Bahamas in our small size. And that's why what we've been using, though, Desmond, because of the challenge that so many countries around the world are trying to get vaccines, what we've been using is our relationship with the Americans, our relationship with other countries to be able to, during discussions, see how best we can get them to help us with this supply. Prime Minister Davis, a few weeks ago, spoke with the Deputy Secretary of State for the United States and expressed, the Assistant Secretary of State, and expressed the need to get child vaccines here. They said they will try and see how best they can assist us. Every time he has a conversation with the Americans, that's on the table. And so we're using our relationship to try and get vaccines here for our children. We realize the importance of that. But so far, we've not been successful. Anybody else? Wow. Father's Time must have really been good to y'all. Okay, so let's go on to our vendors, food vendors this afternoon and highlight them. I think that's important to do because we are seeing the success of our Bahamian food vendors, and we want to continue to highlight them. Today, we're highlighting two companies, Limeade Bahamas, which I'm sure many of you may be aware of. You see their product in stores and places. And then, of course, another food vendor called Fries with Benefits. And so Raquel Roll from Fries with Benefits is going to come, and I'm also going to invite Joshua and Felicity Miller for Limeade Bahamas to come, those representatives here, so they can come and talk about their food offerings and what we have for you today, members of the media. So come. This, I think, is Raquel Roll. Yes, Fries with Benefits. Ooh, Fries with Benefits.
Good day, everyone. As Clint said, my name is Raquel Roll. My name is Raquel Roll, and I'm the proud owner of Fries with Benefits. We serve gourmet loaded fries. We've been in existence since 2020. During the pandemic, I actually started. I actually come from a hotelier background. Marketing is my area of expertise. And what I did was I diversified my gift, and I ended up in food. So I came up with a really crafty name called Fries with Benefits because not only did I want to leave a good taste in people's mouth, I wanted to make sure that my name left a good taste in people's mouth. So when people hear the name Fries with Benefits, they're always very intrigued, and they want to come out and enjoy the fine foods of Fries with Benefits. So we do over 30 different variations of loaded fries. Sorry, I'm a bit nervous. We do over 30 different variations of loaded fries, in addition to burgers, wraps. So all of our offerings is something that you may have seen before, but we turn it up a notch. All of our sauces is something that I make in-house. In addition to that, my assistant, she's not here, she's setting up right now, Marie Roker. She's also in the culinary field, she's doing pastry. So this is an opportunity for her to now get some experience in the world working with me. So that's Fries with Benefits.
Tell us what we have today.
So today we have a wide array. I get excited when I talk about food. We have a wide array of offerings for you. We have some loaded fries that we're going to offer you, in addition to some of our burgers. What we did was we compacted the burgers because they're very big. So what we did was we turned it into slider versions for you. So we have sliders, we have burgers, we have wraps. So we have a little bit of everything for you to try. And we hope that in trying this, you come out and you spread the word about Fries with Benefits. Thank you.
And now we have Limeade Bahamas, Joshua and Felicity Miller.
Good morning. My name is Joshua Miller, as Clint said, and this is my lovely wife, Pascal Felicity Miller. I'm also here with my mother. I must point her out as well because she's definitely one of the backbones of the business. My company is called Limeade Bahamas. We've been around since 2014, but believe it or not, the story started many years prior to. So when I was about 6 or so, my father said, if you want to have money for the summer trips, you're going to have to work for it. So he had a jerk stand in front of my grandmother's restaurant, and while he served this jerk, he taught me to make limeade. So from since then, I was making limeade, to buy my Jordans and stuff when they go on the summer trips. He passed on in 2002. I kept the business going, graduated, studied accounting, passed my accounting degrees, came back during a period when, the economy wasn't doing that well. So it took me some time to find a job, and my grandmother said, hey, make that good limeade you was making, sell it in my restaurant. So that's what I did. I did it for about 2 years, and then in 2014, I started to expand. With the support of my mother and my lovely wife, as I mentioned, we were able to widespread. We sell now in over 100 stores, believe it or not, across Nassau. We sell Bamboo Shack, Bahamas Sub Sammy's Chicken, Super Value, Acropolis, just to name a few. We have some delicious refreshments out there for you. We hope you enjoy. You can contact us at 323-0109 or 468-3032. Thank you so much.
I'll just add that you can also place orders for our products directly from our website, which is www.limeadebahamas.com, and you can even contact us on our social media, which is at Limeade Bahamas. You can have our products ordered from the website, pay via card on our easy checkout system, and have them delivered directly to your location, whether that's wholesale at your stores or retail at your homes. And we also just want to express our gratitude to our customers and those who've been supporting us and following with us along this journey for the past few years. We appreciate you, and for those who have never tried the product, we encourage you to try it. Give us your feedback, and we want you to know that behind every bottle of limeade, there is a very hard-working team who goes above and beyond to continue bringing you all a taste of Bahamian pleasure and the best limeade in the Bahamas. Thank you.
All right, so colleagues, there we go. That's our weekly presser. Thank you so much. You always know how to reach our press office here should we need to facilitate other interviews for you. Have a great weekend, everybody. Thank you all for joining us.